how to read SI when it's toward the end of a word and there's a vowel after it. So today we're going to learn the sound of SI, which doesn't really have a letter. The sound of it doesn't have a letter in our alphabet. We type the sound, or we write the sound as a ZH. So the sound for SI, when it is toward the end of a multi-syllable word and there's a vowel after it, is zh. Zh, as in, say television, and you'll hear it. You'll feel that vibration. Television, erosion. Let me just spell those for you. Versus TI. TI makes the voiceless SH sound and says shh. So like look at the word emotion. Shh for the TI versus the word above it, erosion. Now that SH is having more of a vibration quality to it. You're using your vocal cords and making that sound vibrate. SI is the vibrating sound. Jean, jean. Okay? So when you see SI in a word that's toward the end like that, of a longer word, multi-syllable, and there's a vowel after it, and it's usually going to be an O, then that SI is going to say zh, that new sound that you're adding to your reading toolbox. So let's practice reading that with our new knowledge now. All right, you'll see SI often before, with an A at the end, as in the word Asia. Can you hear the zh? You didn't know that that was in there before today, did you? Did you know that zh was in the middle of Asia, or did you just never think about it before? But now you know. SI says zh, that new sound. Asia. So sometimes you're going to see at the end with an SIA. Sometimes it'll be an SIAN. Sometimes it'll be an, so this is jeune. This is also jeune. Jol, right here, that's going to be very rare. It's usually going to be an AN, an ON, or an A at the end. So let's practice. All right, let's do this one together. I'm going to see if I can stretch this up anymore. So number one, let's mark our vowels. So this A is going to make its long sound because there is another vowel in the next one or two spots. This SI is our new sound, zh. A at the end of a multi-syllable word says represented by a schwa symbol, an upside down E. So our sounds are p, ul, a. Zh gets one sound, one dot for one sound, Plasia, plasia. Now before today, you might have looked at that word and thought, vasia, vasia, vasia? But now you know, right? So go ahead and try this one. Read it knowing what SI says. You're going to be so glad you came today. All throughout September, I'm going to be teaching you kind of, not really, well, yeah, kind of random things that don't fall into its own vowel month. So from January until I think July, we had a whole month of just a vowel because the vowels can spell so many different sounds. And then we had like a month of R control vowels and W control vowels, and then we went into hard C and soft C and G and stuff like that, some trigraphs. They all kind of were in the same pattern family. But September, I've been waiting for September for a long time. This is different than last year. If you were in class last year, we didn't have any of these. I just added them all for this year. So do you remember last year, if you were in class, we started reading real words in September? We're going to start that in October because I have some things that I still want to teach you in September. So September is going to be a miscellaneous month with learning a whole bunch of new things that I've never taught you before. So I'm glad that you are here to learn these. And then starting in October, we will apply everything that we've learned with real words. All right, so your A is going to say A because of the tap 2 rule. There's a vowel 1 or 2 doors down. SI says Z, A at the end says V, A, Z, Veja, Veja. Might have been a different word than if you would have seen this prior to coming to class today. You might have tried to attempt that with a different pronunciation, but now you know what that A says, what that A says, what that SI says. You know now that it says Veja. Number 2, this A is going to say A because the next 2 letters are consonants. This A is going to say A because the next 2 letters are not consonants. SI says Z. A, when it's toward the end of a multisyllable word and there's a consonant after it, says It's that schwa sound again. That's something that we learned in A month, but starting now in September, I'm going to be reviewing a lot of old patterns that we've learned because you're going to need those for October through December. So we have D, A, P, A, J, A, N. Da, dap, dape, dapage, dapasia, dapasion, dapasion. Oh, Fatima, your question, how about visa? It does have an SI in it, but it has to be an SI, not an IS. So the S has to come first. See, SI right here, SI. But the A still says, I think this is actually a foreign word, which is why that I says E. Okay, let's try your number 2 here. Go ahead, I'll be quiet while you work. O toward the end of a multisyllable word says Okay, so we have a hard C here. It's normal sound, K. This A is going to say A because the next 2 letters are consonants. This A is not going to say A because the next 2 letters are not consonants. It will say A. SI says Z, that vibrating SH sound. And then when O comes almost to the end of a longer word, it says the schwa sound, which is represented by that upside down E. So we have K, A, S, A, J, N, Cr, Cra, Crass, Crasse, Crassage, Crassasia, Crassasian, Crassasian. Would you please put a Y or an A for yes or almost if you got Veja and Crassasian without me in the Q&A? Good to know. Thank you, thank you. That's happy to hear that. Lots of Y's. Nice. Okay, number 3. So this I is going to say I because of the tap 2 rule. This A will say A because of the tap 2 rule. Here we have our J, and here we have a schwa sound. Our sounds L, I, F, A, J, N. Li, lif, lifé, lifage, liphasia, Liphasion, jun, like erosion, liphasion. Go ahead and try yours. That O is going to be a schwa sound and say So this I will say I, this A will say A, this O will say and SI says zh. So P, L, I, S, A, zh, N. Plissasion. Plissasion. You're getting this, aren't you? I can feel the good vibes coming through the computer. Plissasion. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to skip number 4. I'm going to go to 5. So this U will say Oh. I didn't teach you this. I'm skipping 5. Do I want to teach you this? Sure. I'll just give you more rules for your toolbox. SI will say zh almost always. However, if it comes after an S or an N, then it can say shh, like the word Russian. So here you'll see that SI right here, but it's not making its vibrating sound. It's making its quiet sound because it follows an S. So if that SI comes after an S or an N, it will say shh, like this one. Okay, just as rare. So I'm surprised that I put it in here because I didn't think I was going to teach that. But now you know. It's rare, but now you know. SI will almost always say zh, unless it comes after an S or an N. Then it can say shh. So let's go for it then. So this U is going to say Here I have an SI after an S, so it's going to say it's just quiet sound. Shh. This A will make it the schwa sound. Oh my goodness. This A will make the schwa sound if I can control my mouse. So we have k, This S sound is going to blend right into that SH because you can't not blend them together. Okay, so you're not really going to hear that S before the SH because those two sounds are so similar they just combine. So I'm going to even just cross this out. So we have k, sh, n. Crushin. Crushin. So knowing that you're not really going to hear this because it's hard to say s before a sh, you just don't do it. So it's basically silent. But we need those two S's so that we know that this U is going to make a soft sound. Now we know that this is going to make its quiet sound and say shh because it comes after an S. And then A toward the end says So what would your word say? Yeah, I skipped number 4, Fatima. But I might go back to it. Yeah, everybody's telling me I skipped number 4. Yeah, that was intentional, but I think I'm going to go back to it. All right, so number 5, the U is This SI is going to make its quiet sound, shh, because it follows an S. A toward the end says So we have sh, n. Lushan. Lushan. Kind of like lotion, but lushan. All right, number 4 it is. What's this A going to say? It's going to make it short sound because there are 2 consonants after it. What about this one? It's going to make its long sound because there is another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. This SI is going to make its normal vibrating sound and say zh. This A is going to make the schwa sound and say So isn't that interesting that there are 3 A's in this word that all say 3 different things, and you know why? You know that this A says because of those 2 consonants after it. You know that this A says A because there's a vowel 1 or 2 doors down. And you know that this A says because that's what A's say when they're almost to the end. So we have k, u, a, p, s, t, a, j, o. One sound at a time here because it's long. Cool, cla, clap, claps. Now this PS, you have to really focus and control those two sounds to keep them in the right order. So make sure the P sound comes before the S sound because it might be tempting for that S to come before the P. So make sure it's claps, like you clap your hand. Claps. Clapsed. Clapste. Clapstage. Clapstasia. Clapstasial. Clapstasial. Hard one. Try yours over here. Okay, so this A is going to say a because of the tap 2 rule. This A will say a because of the tap 2 rule. This A will say because that's what A's say when they're almost to the end. So we have d, a, n, t, a, j, o. Der, dra, dran, drant. Make sure you articulate that D and the R. Don't let it get sloppy or messy. It can change into a JR sound easy if we are not careful. So we don't want it to be jr. We want it to be der, okay? Like often we might catch ourselves saying drum. It sounds like a j at the beginning, drum or drug. Let's keep it sounding the way that the letters intend. So der, dra, dran, drant, drante, drantage, drantasia, drantasial, drantasial. How did you do on drantasial? And luscion. Did you get those? Y, yeah, or A, almost? Drantasial and luscion. It was very difficult, but I got it. That's right, you did. That's right, you did. Well done. You guys, you're not the only ones if you're saying, no, I didn't quite get that one in the chat, because there's about, how many percentage-wise? There's a good split between, yeah, I got it, and no, I didn't. I want to just do one in the extra practice, and I want to pick it. Yeah, I want to do number 1. Look at number 1 and try it on your own. Okay, so this A is going to say A. This A is going to say SI will say j. G, A, j, geisha, geisha. Now let me know Y or A in the chat. Did you get geisha? Okay, good. Yeah, I skipped 6 on purpose, my friend. Geisha. I wanted to end on this one because I want you to know that you can do this. Okay. Yeah. So I taught you a lot today, and then I threw in some even more information about that SI, that it can say sh, but that's pretty rare. Usually that SI, when it's toward the end of a multi-syllable word and there's a vowel after it, will say zh, zh as in Asia. Television, erosion. There's other words. There's all, you're going to see them everywhere. Now that you know it, you're going to say, hey, I know why that SI is making the Z sound. Most people don't know that. You do. You do know that now. It's interesting because we don't even have that sound in our alphabet, but now you know how to spell it and how to read it. So congratulations on your new knowledge. All right, my friends, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.